It's Laura Eubanks of Design for Serenity with your succulent tip of the day and day 3 in University City at the Coral Reef Project. And many of you stated in the comments that you wanted to see me do some actual planting. So here I am doing some actual planting for you. You're welcome. This has been a big tapestry day. I haven't got to do a tapestry this ornate in a really long time, so I'm happy to share the journey with you. I picked a spot where I could really incorporate a lot of the techniques that I use for you to see by using cuttings, plants that we had pulled out of the garden before we started this project that were just run-amucky and sad, but there's viable pieces on here that we will use. Other plants like this Crassula argentea sunset that I love working with as a cutting. If you live in a hostile climate, make sure you harden off the cut before you attempt to plant. But here in San Diego, since we get no rain, I can pretty much sink it in the ground whenever I want. Some of the plants we will sink intact, like this kalanchoe. And some of the plants we might break up for parts. So I want to connect this is this Pineapple Express? Yeah. At any rate, this Mangave and this South African Crassula falcata, I want to connect these dots. So the first thing that I'm going to do is start with this kalanchoe, because of all the little 1 gallons that I have, this is the one that's going to get the tallest as time passes. So just pop them out of the can, get rid of most of the soil, because who wants to dig a hole that deep? Not this girl.
And they'll be okay.
They will, they'll be fine.
Don't be afraid to cut off those.
Yeah, don't be afraid to cut them off. And I'm not really even cutting off any roots. I just removed the excess soil. Still has all of its hair roots. And again, if in a hostile climate, you want to preserve as much of the root ball as possible. But this one, because I know it's going to get the biggest, is going to go kind of in the center between these 2 points. This soil, this 9 yards of soil that we brought in, is just called amended topsoil. That's too low. There we go. It's amended topsoil, and you can get it at any rock yard pretty much in bulk. You can even buy good soil, garden soil, at the box stores in bags if that's what you have access to. Okay, so now this Echeveria harmsii, which is one of my favorite plants, that's going to go in next, because this one's going to stay fairly low profile, and it's also getting ready to throw off some really pretty flowers. So I want to make sure that it's seen. So I'm going to plant it right next to this Crassula here. Notice that I am planting this intact. I didn't break it up for parts, just like it came out of the 1 gallon can. That's how it's going in the ground.
Very close.
Yeah, and I'm planting the plants very, very close together, because that's the magic of succulents. They love some good root competition, and they will just knit together like a tapestry, like a mosaic. Don't plant your succulents far apart and wait for them to fill in. You will be bitterly disappointed. Okay, so now I've got this Graptopetalum superbum. I love this plant. It's a little persnickety, and I know when I pull it out of the can, it's probably going to break apart, because these are just plugs that the nursery puts in 1 gallon cans. I know this. I'm not offended. I'm getting, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plants. I can plant them all together, or I can break them apart. It just depends on my mood. In this case, I want to plant them together because I want to make that big purple statement. Because who doesn't want to make a big purple statement, right? So we'll go right here in front, knowing that these aren't going to take over this harmsii. Now, the elephant in the room here is this Portulacaria afrovariegata. I know what you're thinking. Oh my God, Laura, that thing gets so huge. Well, yes, if you let it run amok, but we'll just keep it trimmed. I've already put the client on notice that we are going to need to be here annually for a maintenance. No questions asked. So, okay, now I have this wonderful red and green and purple going. Another thing too about your tapestries is make them thick. Don't be cheap. So this falcata is going to continue to grow this way. They have a tendency to get a little bit scraggly. So I want to plant something in front of it that will kind of help hold it up. So I have this cute little, whatever it is. What is this? A little echeveria, I think. Again, I'm going to plant it intact right in front of that falcata. You know, that falcata looked really blue until I planted this little echeveria. Now the falcata looks a lot greener. Fascinating. Okay, all right. Now, if you just need a little something, and you don't want to plant a whole 1 gallon plant, you can take something like this mixed gallon and you can just pull out some plugs. This is, hello, Sedum Vera Higgins. I love this girl. Take out some plugs. Maybe you don't want the whole thing, just a few pops of color. So you can do something like that. It really is like putting candles on a birthday cake. Now, you think I'm done, I'm not, and neither are you, because now we need to add more texture. That's where the Crassula argentea sunset cuttings can come in. Now here's the thing, also, it gets big. This is a jade, it's a shrub, but remember, I'm working with it as a cutting. So it's gonna take a long time for this to reestablish a root system and grow. While it's reestablishing, it will take all of its nourishment and water from its thick stems and leaves. Now this one, even here in parts of San Diego, will burn in the full hot sun inland. So I am more coastal. This exposure and climate and zone can definitely take it now in June. But if you live inland, you might want to hold off working with cuttings until the fall. So this yellow makes a very, very big statement. So I want to make sure that I don't have pom-poms and that my presentation is balanced. So I'm going to use 3 presentations of this Crassula argentea. That, okay, and now for this Senecio that is such a hot mess, isn't it? Yuck. Ew. Careful there, Hannah. Hannah tripped over a rock. So I can take pieces. I really like this plant. I mean, I love the shape of the leaves. It's so interesting. I think it works really well here in the coral reef. I like the color. I'm just pulling off all the dead leaves. And then I can take these little pieces and I can also tuck them in wherever I want. And eventually they will also root and grow. So that's just something else that I can use to, knit together and create lots of visual interest in this little presentation. So I'm working backwards. Hannah, how does that look?
That looks pretty.
There's no gaps. Okay, it looks connected. Excellent, good. So who wants to see the rest of what we've been doing on day 3? So I know I told you guys this was a 4-day install, but we had a little bit of a hang up on Monday. Our rock delivery got bumped to Tuesday. So we will likely be back on Saturday to do finish work here. We'll have to lay all the rock and everything, no doubt, on Saturday. What? Yeah, I'm coming. Just keeping a clean design space. All right. So, oh yeah, that looks good. So, here we go. Now, you can see these black wires. This is Greg's low voltage lighting. He's going to be running lights all through here. You can also see that he has started the Netafim irrigation. This is basically the hard line. And he's running this line kind of as a master line all the way through. Then he's going to tap off of this with micro sprayers to make sure that all of the intricate tapestry stuff gets enough water. It's a very intricate process, and it's going to take the team a while to finish it. Then all of this irrigation tubing needs to be buried and stapled. Then I will be coming in with my rubble and creating shelves in the landscape and those cliffs that I've been talking about. So I'm very excited about that. Yeah, if you can see what we've done, I mean, the fun about this being a coral reef, this isn't a collector's garden, this is a designer's garden. So we've got this euphorbia here, and it just looked so lonely. So I had Gordon ring it with a crown, with crown of thorns, with little ready reds, because it looks more like something you might find under the sea to me than just by itself. Yeah, and then up here, well, what I've done is I've kept it, remember the 3 R's of good succulent landscape design: rocks, repetition, and restraint. So this is where restraint comes in. At this lower level here, I want to be able to see the rock, because I'm bringing in 3 or 4 different kinds of rock too. I'm going to be using their glass. I have Creva. I've got so much more to do, so many more levels to this. So you can see that this is going to stay a little more open down below. While up top, what is it? Party in the back and business in the front. So we got party on the top. This is just a crazy, beautiful tapestry that was created by myself, Mel, Hannah, and Kevin. Just absolutely thrilled with it. We have, oh yes, I planted some really tender things in the little cave, and that's going to be highlighted with some special rock. I did start one of my ledges here, one of my cliffs, but I stopped myself because I know that Greg needs to have access for the irrigation before I go too crazy with this. So I did stop. But if you'll look over here, okay. Yeah, Hannah's going to show you the rest of the tapestry, and then I'll show you the rock that we have to work in. And remember, many of these plants you have not seen me use before because they belong to the client who's been collecting himself over the years and decades, specifically for this project. I love what you guys said about the driftwood looking like a fishtail. I hadn't seen it until you mentioned it, and you're right, it really does look like a fishtail. Okay. Also, that those windows look like a pirate ship. I love that too. So you're all getting in the hang of it. Okay, so over here under this Pyrus calicami, this is still TBD. I still have to do something under here as well. And see all of these black cinder 6 to 12s. These are going to get worked into the landscape too. So that'll be a hoot. That's probably what I'll be spending most of tomorrow doing.
Show those sea glass.
Oh, I already did, didn't we? I think we did on day 1. Yeah, we talked about the wedding and the glass. I showed you yeah, we already showed them the tumbled glass. See here, Kevin's grabbing some of this sedum firestorm to complete, some finish work in one of his tapestry areas. This was a big stand that was just completely run amok. And it's perfectly fine and fun to work with these as new plants, to work with them as cuttings and reestablish a new stand that looks better. We have also, kept it a little more low pro in the back, and I'm going to create some ledges back here too, so there will be a distinct cliff that will fall off, and then this will be done in gravel in the back. The client is also making planters. One is going to go here, that's what that footprint is, and then we've got 2 more that are going in over there. Those are in the process of being made. Yeah, so we're going to get back to it. We're going to continue with irrigation and do some finish work with the planting. And yeah, I guess we will catch you guys tomorrow, where you might be able to see us start doing some rocking. This has been Laura Eubanks of Design for Serenity reporting for Team DFS and the Coral Reef in University City, and your succulent tip of the day. Bye, guys.
Oh, I love it. I love it. You used all those little guys.
Oh yeah, these have a clumping habit by nature.
Yes.
They're gorgeous in my garden. They just spread all through, so I want to encourage that here as well.
You should be wearing gloves, Laura.
Well, for this kind of work, they bug me.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
They
I'm
bug
just teasing you.
Yeah.
See where my daughter gets it.
Yeah. I wasn't going to say anything.